Well, hello and welcome back here on Adobe Live. And we're live from Europe this time. And thank you so much, Flynn, for organizing the 8 hours from Australia. That was jam-packed with information. I must admit, I haven't watched all of it. Have you watched it? Have you?
Well, we slept, right?
Yes. So welcome here to the European 8 hours. We're like trying to cover the whole globe with 24 hours on the 24th. Okay, and this is all to celebrate the IXDD, the Interaction Design Day. Okay, so welcome here. Joe Spargo has been enjoying watching this while working all day. I hope your day is not right over yet, because we have a jam-packed schedule here as well. So before we start and before I engage with some of you in the chat, let's present ourselves. Who are we? Because most people, of course, don't know us. Like, who are you, Stephanie?
They don't know me, but they know you.
No,
right?
No, they don't know me. No.
Well, I'm Stephanie. I'm the XD evangelist based in the UK.
Mm-hmm. And it is a very exciting day today because it is Stephanie's 1 year anniversary at Adobe. Yes,
Yay.
Exactly 1 year ago, I went to London on her first day, and guess what we did on that day? We went to the IXDD event in London. So that was her first mission on the job, was to go to the IXDD event in London just a year ago. So Stephanie, happy work anniversary, and yeah, how does it work for you so far? 1 year at Adobe.
Great.
Are you happy?
Great. Yeah.
Are you happy, Stephanie?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Happy, Stephanie.
Very exciting year, and yeah, thanks for all your help throughout this year.
And my name is Rufus Deuchler. I manage Creative Cloud evangelism at Adobe. My team is mostly global. You might know some of them. Some of the members. Howard Pinsky, of course, is my XD evangelist in the US. Jason Levine, Terry White, Paul Tranny. All of these fine people are part of this incredible team that I get to manage. And we are part of another team, the larger team, which is called the community team. So yeah, that's us. And we're here, both of us, to be with you the entire day, the 8 hours here from Europe, and celebrate the IXDD. Suyaj says, congrats, Stephanie.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Suyaj, for the congrats. So that's that's pretty much how it's going to, we're going to be sharing the stage here with Stephanie. Like I said, I have a jam-packed program, and we're going to be talking about that in just a second. We have about 50 more minutes together to go through the day and also look at some of the things that have been made available on the IXDD website, and talk a little bit about what IXDA is, the Interaction Design Association, and kick off that wonderful day live from Munich. And it's been raining for a week, but now the sun is shining outside and we're here in the green room. So basically, yes, this stream, like I said, is global. We started in Sydney with Flynn 8 hours ago, and he brought us through the day on that side of the globe. We're going to be here 8 hours with our European guests. We have a very interesting lineup, and I'm pretty sure you're going to learn a lot about trust and responsibility, which is this year's theme for the Interaction Design Day. And then we're going to hand it over in 8 hours. We're going to hand it over to the US, where they're going to be doing another 8 hours of celebration of this Interaction Design Day. So let's talk a little bit about what IXDD is. What is this Interaction Design Day? I'm just going to move over to my screen. Just like, see, that's live, Stephanie. You see, I always forget things, like to put in my screen, etc. I'm going to come back to the chat in a second, but let's just go here on the World Interaction Design Day homepage. There we go, and we go down here in the corner. You see, we're smaller now. So basically, September the 24th is the World Interaction Design Day. And like I said, this year, the theme of all of the events that are happening worldwide is trust and responsibility, which is a theme that, you know, the first time I saw it, I said, what is that? You know, and like talking with my guests and looking at, you know, what was said also live from Sydney, and also looking at the schedule that we have lined up for the US in about 8 hours, it is actually a very, very interesting topic, because it's really all about how do you create trust in your users when you design experiences, and also your responsibility as a designer to design responsibly and to create experiences that, you know, that are actually delightful and engaging and trustworthy for your users. So this is what this whole day is about. And basically, the World Interaction Design Day is an annual event. Like I said, on the 24th last year, I was with Stephanie in London on her first day on the job, and we attended the IXDD event in London. We're going to go through a little bit of the events that are happening worldwide. But basically, the aim of this whole Interaction Design Day, which is organized by the Interaction Design Association and Adobe, to promote, you know, the good design and thinking about these themes, like the one. Do you remember the one from last year? I don't remember.
I don't remember the theme, but they were really interesting.
I think it was
talks.
like it was about inclusion, I think.
Yeah, there were a lot of nice talks about different apps,
Yeah.
and with people with disability, and yeah, it was really interesting.
So basically, the aim of this day is truly to leave to have a positive and long-lasting impact by facilitating activities that support dialogue and outcomes. Okay, so we're going to have both of that today as well here on the live stream from Europe: dialogue and outcomes. All right, we're going to have guests who are designing experiences, thinking about trust and responsibility, but I also have a couple of guests whom I'm going to be talking with about trust and responsibility. Okay, so there is not one event, there is a ton of events all around the world. And basically, that's how you can see here, like on the interactiondesignday.org. I'm gonna just copy that and paste it very quickly inside of the chat, but maybe I'm gonna go back to ourselves just a second while I do that. Otherwise, we're gonna have that effect where it goes like millions of windows. Okay, so let's go here and just put the interactiondesignday.org link into the chat. Oh, and new people have arrived. Ravi, Jan Erik, Anna Maria. Very nice to see you all here in the chat. Welcome. We have a packed day for you today. So let's go back to the World Interaction Design Day and explore a little bit on of that website. So you can see that, you know, that there's events in Buenos Aires, in Fortaleza, in Sao Paulo, Lausanne, Bogota, Brussels, all over the world. So if you want to find if there's an event near you, you can say view all events. And there is a little, that's actually the whole list of events. Have you counted them?
No, I just checked London.
Okay, all right. But anyway, there's so many events tonight during, like typically they're in the evening, yeah. So Pacific, yeah, PDT. What's this? That Pacific, PDT. It's PDT, SAS. Well, anyway, the times are there. So basically, the way it works is. You go here and you say you're interested in the event in London, although you won't make it home to London.
Not
careful, not London in Ontario. Okay, London, UK. Search, and we see that there's actually 2 IXDD events in London. So hit that page. I've put the link into the chat, and and see if there's an event near you, because it's really like the most important part of, you know, being a designer or a creative person is to be to have a network, like a support system for creativity. And I think these events are exactly what is needed to meet with your peers, to listen from luminaries about their experience with trust and responsibility, and basically have a good time. All right. So again, view all events, and there's literally hundreds. So the next question, of course, you may have is, what is the IXDA? IXDA is a global association of interaction designers. And basically, today, Adobe has partnered with the IXDA to bring this 24 hours on the 24th to life. Like I said, we started in Australia. We're doing 8 hours here in Europe, and then we're going to do 8 hours in the US. And basically, the IXDA, the Interaction Design Association, is the largest association for interaction designers globally. And it has over 100,000 members with more than 200 groups all over the world. Okay, so it is really something that you may want to investigate if you are an interaction designer or a product manager, or there's so many ways people, like, the title changes like almost on a monthly basis. So interaction designer, UI designer, UX designer, product manager, like, tell me in the chat as well, like, how do you define yourself as a creative professional who designs experiences? And also, for these events, we also have of course, the support from AIGA, SODA, Ladies.UX, and Creative Mornings to make all of this happen. So all of these associations, of course, are it's a global network of creatives who want to meet, who want to share information, and want to learn from it. And there's also a global committee. We can have that global committee. Let me just go here to home. Just a second. I think the committee is somewhere down here. Support the committee. Here we go. Yes. And this committee actually, that's the leader pack of the IXDA. And we have people from China, from USA, from India, from Germany. And of course, also we have Lindsay, who will be picking up the stream in about 8 hours from the US, and Koi, Vin, who are also going to be there, like kicking off the day in the US. So Koi and Lindsay will be there. So, but as you can see, it's a truly global committee that is actually thinking about these interaction design association and making all of this happen. So, this year's theme, like I said, is trust and responsibility. Stephanie, what are your thoughts about this? This theme. What does it bring to your mind? You have a long experience also working for IBM, working for different kinds of customers through IBM. What does trust and responsibility mean to you?
Well, the first thing when I heard the theme that I was thinking about was really, we as designers, we have the responsibility to provide a nice experience for our users. And trust I associated with whether the website is trustworthy or the mobile application for the users. So it's very often if the experience isn't nice, it's not trustworthy for a person, because if something comes before something else, and then it confuses them, and they're like, oh, is this really, like, can I really trust it and still like do my purchase on here and enter my credit card details or things
like how many
that.
times have you been through a shopping experience and then at the end you thought, maybe not? Like, how many times has that happened to you? I think quite frequently. And this is all about trust. How do you make your audience comfortable with releasing their data or releasing their payment information? I always have this like little tinkling feeling when I have to give that information, and that's of course something that needs to be trustworthy.
I recently had actually an experience where I wanted to order a product, and I entered my address, and then it said this address doesn't exist. So I couldn't order anything to my address. So I just found the same product on another website and ordered it from another website. So
that's again usability. They used a customer.
Yeah. That's one thing. And then the other thing I was thinking about with responsibility, one of the things that's also very close to my heart is to make things accessible for everyone. Because there are a lot of, I have worked on some apps for like a blind person and people with disabilities. And a lot of websites or apps are not accessible for these people, even though there is a law that it has to be. And yeah, I just believe that's also a responsibility of us designers, and especially nowadays where we have like a voice prototyping functionality in XD, that it's so easy for us to prototype things, or we have plugins like Stark where we can check for color blindness and things like that. So I think that's also a responsibility.
This is something that is very close to me because I am slightly colorblind. I'm the green-red kind of colorblind. So yeah, so this is also part of, you know, something that makes me cringe when I don't see text in buttons, for example.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, Ben Carnegan, thank you so much. He counted the events. It's 95 events are on that page. All right. So that's quite a few events all around the globe. And Jan Eric, thank you. PDT, of course, is Pacific Daylight Time. Yes, you're right. It's just, you know,
what would we do without the people in the chat?
What would we do without the chat? So what I wanted to do very quickly here, Stephanie, is go launch the teaser for today. And let's have a look at that. Okay, let me just turn off everything and go here. That's the teaser. And boom.
All over the world, there's great conversations, interviews, and presentations taking place that will help advance and support other designers in doing better work.
We all have unique experiences within our workplace, and we really need to share that knowledge so that we can do better in both our work and our lives.
All right, so this is our welcome to the Interaction Design Day. Good morning, Tim, our super moderator in the chat. Welcome, Tim. Glad you're here. Hello, Diamond. And it's 4 Pakistan. Okay, Zahir, hello to Pakistan. So this is also a very important part of all these live streams, of course, is the ability that you have as viewers to ask questions live. Okay, and we have, of course, our guests and ourselves will be able to answer these questions live as the stream goes on. So make sure you use that chat and ask us your questions. I guess as a designer, it is also our job to provide only working for trustworthy products, companies, before we even start designing. Anna Maria, this is true. I have found myself in situations. I'm a designer. I had my own company for over a decade before I joined Adobe, and there are customers or products or services that I simply did not want to do either because I didn't agree with them or because they were not part of my they were not part of me. And that's another thing. I think as creatives, you really need to make sure that the jobs you do are things that satisfy you personally and that make you grow. Every job should make you grow. Good morning, Andreas. And can you please say something for blind people? Zahir, that's a very good question, because Stephanie has been working on a project for a blind marathon runner. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I can talk about it. It was a really exciting project, and for me, it was.
Do you maybe have do you have a Behance page or something like with that?
Yes, I do. There's this video with the interview. It was Simon Wheatcroft. He's an amazing personality.
Let's just talk over the video. I'm just gonna go over to your screen here. And that's actually a very good question, Zahir. And just talk a little bit about what you did for that project.
Yeah, that's a video. So what I did is, it was the first time I was working with a blind person, and my whole way of how I've been working until that point has changed immediately. Because first and foremost, I just, obviously, as a UX designer, you have to put yourself into the shoes of the users, and he was the user. And I first checked, how does he even use his phone? So he obviously had voiceover, so I put my phone into voiceover, so just that I get the feel. And then I also noticed during that time that a lot of websites, apps are not accessible. They don't have the voiceover functionality. And I thought, how is he doing all of that? Then I asked him all these questions that you might think are stupid, but you really have to ask them in order to really be able to put yourself 100% into his shoes and understand the context in order to design a product that suits him. And I was asking him these things. So like, he always came with his guide dog. So I was like, so do you run with your guide dog? And I was like, no, the dog is just to go in the city and to guide me in the city. But when I'm running by myself. I said, so how do you keep on track? And he was like, oh, on the pavement usually. I always run very far outside. So that's where usually people don't walk, so I don't hit any, but I hit trees. That's what he said. I said, okay, fine. Then what I did, I went to the gym and I went on a treadmill and I closed my eyes and I tried to keep straight, and it did not work. I'm telling you, it did not work. I almost fell down the treadmill at the gym, but it was really, I was, and then I came back and I said, Simon, how do you keep the balance? I was like, oh yeah, I must say I have a really good balance compared to people who are not blind. I would say I have a better balance. And then I kind of realized, because one of his senses, like, he can't see, but therefore, like, if my balance is 100%, his balance is 200%. So it's amazing how the body, like, weighs out and just, finds the balance, and like all his other senses work so much better. Then I also asked him these things, because when I go for a run, I listen to music, and I said, do you ever listen to music when he said, no, I need my hearing to hear if someone is around me. And like, yeah, sure, of course. So it all changed, because I was like, he's never going to see my interface. So it all has to do with voice. So I first had this idea to because I fell in love with his dog. Like, it was just such an amazing animal. I absolutely loved the dog. But it was also quite cheeky. It always, because obviously you can't see, but so the dog ate everything that the dog could find, and he didn't see it. So it was quite a cheeky dog as well. But my first idea was really to have different dog barks, so to keep him on track. So his wish was really to run a marathon without a ghost runner, to be the first person in the world who runs a marathon without a ghost runner. And my idea was first, like, to have this app, and if he's too far left, another dog breed is barking, and if he's too far right, another dog breed is barking, and that's what keeps him on track. But then he said, if he's in the desert, because it was in Namibia in the desert, he said he might hallucinate because of the heat and the terrain and everything. So I had to come back and really get back to basics, and we just worked with beeps. So lower pitch frequency beeps and higher pitch frequency beeps, depending on which side he's on. And he made it. He was the first blind marathon runner who ran without a ghost runner. And it was such an exciting project for me, because suddenly, like, the visual design didn't matter anymore. Suddenly, like, all of this around, like, I just had to change the whole perception, how I even start the project, because it was all about the sound, and it was all about the steps.
Yeah, and you see, Zahir, that's a very good question. How do you design for blind people? And I think one thing that just struck me in Stephanie's description here is that one of the first things she went on a treadmill, closing her eyes. Like, always put yourself into your user's shoes, right? Always try to figure out, okay, how does it feel? What is missing? What really empathize with your user. And this is one of the things that we're going to be seeing also in the talks during the day today, is that there is a whole focus on really on really understanding, and there's a lot of psychology and also ergonomics, and all of these things come together. Designing experiences is not something you decide waking up in the morning and said, I'm going to design an experience. There's a lot of work, a lot of understanding, a lot of research behind it. So Rakesh, good morning. Are there any events for communication design? Well, I would say that experience design is also communication design. So like I said on the, let me just go back to my World Interaction Design Day page here. There's a whole list on interactiondesignday.org. If you're looking for events, see if there's an event near you, and maybe you can join them. You will see that experienced designers, UI designers, UX designers, product managers. Are there any other names, Phillip, that people call themselves these days if they work in that field? No, Phillip needs to wake up still. Yes. Phillip Cartman is already here in the studio, ready for his stream in about 30 minutes. So yes, so here's is where you can find all of the information. So let me just go back to this screen for a second, and let's go back to the chat here. And hey Birju, we are good. Are you designing something now? We will be designing with Phillip Cartman in about 30 minutes. So yes, we do have designers in line for the for this stream. So Zahir is continuing to ask you, so is this app working with any other special equipment, or just use the app only? Is there special equipment attached to the app you designed for the blind person?
No, it was, the special thing was that it was working through satellites because there was no mobile network or Wi-Fi in the desert. So it was just working through satellites. So it was a huge technical part for the developer guys to really deal with that. And they also lived it. So we literally went during our lunch breaks, we went to the park and we were walking around in the park and until it started beeping and everybody was watching us from every side. And we were like, yeah, just testing an app.
Yes, so, and that's the second part of the job, and that's the testing part. Testing
very important,
and see that.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure it doesn't get lost.
And so. And here, is it under construction yet? No, it's already done. It's working. Yeah. He the runner did the marathon through the desert all by himself without a ghost runner.
Yeah,
I didn't even know that was called a ghost runner.
Yeah, they're usually connected with a band, with a light band, and then the ghost runner guides him. Okay. But it's like a light band, so they're not pulling them. But yeah.
Oh, CX designer could probably be another one. That's a good point, Ben. Rakesh, hello. Birju. Oh, so we are eagerly waiting for design. Yes, Birju, you will have that as well today. So, any other questions? No. Okay. So before we continue, what I wanted to go through very quickly is the program of the day. So let me just change the screen slightly here and just get rid of that and put in the schedule. So we just finished a full day with Sydney. Okay, Sydney just gave us the line about 30 minutes ago. They had a packed program with Joe Hortensi, Nikki Gower, Pin, Tara, Prue, Jamie, and Jason, Jai, Prue, and Nick. Oh, again, they were doing a round table. So Flynn, Flynn, great job in Australia. All of these are, of course, replays. You can watch them again here on behance.net/live. All the replays will be there. And also, of course, on the Adobe Creative Cloud YouTube channel. Now, if we go to our program today, we will be starting at 10 a.m. with Phillip Cartman. And Phillip is a designer who will be working on making his website, his font website, because he's a font designer and interested in fonts, and he has his whole experience around also selling fonts, and he's gonna be working on using Adobe XD to create a trustworthy experience for the viewers. Then I will be meeting with Francesca Terzi at 12 p.m. Central European time. Francesca she has a lot of experience in the financial and payment sector. So she will be talking about how to build trust and work responsibly when dealing with financial information, because it's so easy these days. Everybody's trying to make it super easy for you to pay whatever online. But what is it you give up? What is it? How complex can the whole experience become? And how much data are you actually giving up to make a payment transaction? And does that make sense at all? Or these are the thoughts that we're going to be talking about with Francesca. And then at 1:30 we have Alexandra Greive, a designer from Berlin, and she will be working in Adobe XD, designing a checkout experience for an e-commerce website, where also thinking about trust and responsibility. And then I will be ending the day at 3:30 until 5 p.m. with Thorsten Jonas, an experienced designer from Hamburg. And we will be talking mainly about the responsibility we as designers have to create trustworthy and responsible situations in our designs. So this will be again a little bit of talking with Thorsten about that subject and closing the day, and then handing it over to the US, where we have another 8 hours jam-packed with information. Like I said, Coy and Lindsay will kick off the day at 8 a.m. Pacific time. Then we have Prakash Chandran from Impeccable, talking about his designs and also designing on live on here on Behance. And one thing that we will discover in a second is on the IXDD website we have a whole bunch of cookies, cookie banners and things like that, some of which Phillip will be using in not so long. But we're going to be showing you what these cookie banners are, because these cookie banners have been designed by Impeccable. All right. So basically the designer from these banners will be here live on stream. Then we have Josh Silverman, Julian Crespo. We have the Daily Creative Challenge from the US at 11:30, Margot Blumstein and Daniela Caicedo and Cameron Kandev to end the day. So it's truly 24 hours on the 24th. Oh, there's a whole bunch of new people in the chat. Excited what you have going on. Thank you, Ben. Hi, Pauline. How to crack the product design interview, Ravi. Okay, needs tips. Okay. Oh, and there was also Ronnie was asking about any tips on how to improve a portfolio if you're a designer, UX designer, and only worked with one client. Now, I'm just gonna go back to the big camera here. And maybe let's leave this in the background here. No, let's just put this background and boom. So, this is a question that comes up very frequently, Ronnie, especially at the beginning of your career. There isn't that much work that you can show prospective employers or clients. So this is why it is so important to have passion projects at the beginning of your career, to do work that is, I wouldn't say fantasy work, but work that showcases what you are really interested in and what it is you want to be doing in a year. Okay, it is not useful to create work that you wouldn't enjoy. Okay, so I always have these little side projects that I'm doing just to keep my creativity going, and these of course produce results, whether they're screens, whether they're designs, posters, things like that, experiences, and I keep them by the side. And some of them I publish on my Behance, some not. But the important thing is to keep on going. So if you only had one customer, yes, that is part of your journey. And it's important that you show that one customer work that you did and be very transparent about it. Also in your portfolio, saying this is student work. This is work I did on the side. This is not work that was actually produced. And this is how you start building up your portfolio and your reputation, and especially your style, and defining what it is that you really want to do. Okay, I have a big problem with portfolios that that have photography, illustration, experience design, 3D, and all of these things mixed together, because I don't understand what it is that the person really wants to do for the rest of the year or their career or going forward. And so you need focus. All right. So that's my tip to you, Ronnie. And the product design interview. How to crack that? First of all, be very aware of what actually the job description is. Okay, of course, a job description is always the perfect candidate. Okay, and many candidates, maybe have 80% of what is in the job description. Stephanie had 100%, but not quite.
Streaming is new to me, yeah.
Yes, and so really understand, who it is that you want to work for. So it's really important that when you go to that interview, you know as much as you can about the company, about the role that you're about to cover, about the things that you as a person can actually offer to that company that's hiring you. Okay, what makes you precious? Okay, each one of us has something precious to share with other humans. So make sure that you first understand what it is that makes you special, what skill, what talent, what creative streak makes you special, in order to convey that to your potential employer, and also make sure that whatever you say in the interview always is pertinent to that specific employer. Okay, don't start talking about other things. No, you need to be focused. Focus is always a good point. Hello, Niels. Good morning to you too. Jan Eric, I really like the IXCD website. It's so clean and organized. Yes, it is organized, and we're going to be going through it very quickly. And Ravi, this is also a very good point, but all my work is confidential. I can't showcase them. Yes, that is a thing that I'm hearing very often. I'm pretty sure that that you had work that you can't show. That Phillip has work that he can't show or even talk about. That's because we all sign non-disclosure agreements before we start working on specific projects, and that's just part of the job. And some clients also say, you can't promote these designs as your own, or because maybe you've been working in a team or things like that. So all of these things are really things that need to be talked about with your clients, either before the fact or after the creation, and make sure that everything is regular. But Stephanie has also worked on like I said, these side projects or things that are similar in concept to real projects, and like just reproposing these ideas in a different way, making it not look like IBM or Electrolux or whatever. Like something that you cannot show. So sometimes it's just a matter of, changing a logo or a color scheme or things like that. How does web design engage users interactively, Diamond? That's a very general question, I'd say. Interactivity is, part of the experience that we as designers, of course, try to create. And I think web design and also experience design, and this is why you see so many designers when they're creating experiences, working with post-its and like filling up walls with things and flows and ideas like that. It's because to create interactivity, you need to understand the flow, and basically this is how you get into the interactive part of the project. So basically, I look at it like a movie script, like almost like a storyboard for an experience. And that's how you create an experience, right? Like I'm talking a lot because you're going to be talking a lot in a few minutes, but I think, like interrupt me if you think I'm wrong.
No.
Okay.
I agree to everything you say.
Okay. Pauline, do you have any idea, design idea for a new mobile wallet app? Maybe we can talk about that a little bit later, also with Francesca, about, you know, like how we're gonna be talking about payment options and things like that, and how to make it interactive and trustworthy. Ben, yes, lorem ipsum is a great, also like filling the gaps of confidential information. Yeah, that's great. Solid advice about focus and passion projects. Thanks, Ronnie. Thanks for asking the question. So there's a couple more things that I wanted to show. Yes, let me go back to the website for a second. And so we've talked about all of the events. Make sure that to view the events, to see if there's an event around you. There's hundreds of events all over the planet happening today. So Australia, they're happening now, I guess. And then moving around the world, coming our way and going to the US. Typically they're in the evening, and they're really cool events because you get to meet peers, you get to meet other designers, and listen to very interesting talks. So this on InDesign, interactiondesignday.org, you find all of the information. So the events are here, and I love this little map that's blinking with all of the events that are happening today. They're falling. It's like little snowflakes, dark snowflakes, like little stones. What? I don't know. Experiences falling from the top of the screen. Anyway, you see that there's literally events all around the globe. Okay? Then, and this is also, now how to host an event. It's a bit late for that. If you haven't planned an event, today is not the day to plan an event for today. Okay, but there's educational resources, and there's a whole bunch of videos to watch, and there's some interesting titles there. If you go through them, there's trust and consistency in design. There's trust and user needs, trust and transparency in design. Trust and consistency, trust and transparency, responsibility and ethics for design, and responsibility and externalities. And I think this is one of the videos that actually really made me think about the externalities. Is like when you create an experience, it's not only one user, if you're my user, okay, and you're clicking stuff and accepting stuff, but are there other consequences of you clicking all that stuff, accepting it, that might, involve your family, your sister, your friends, are you including them as well? Unknowingly? And these are the externalities that I found very interesting. So make sure to watch these videos because there's actually let's look at the externalities one for a second. And enjoy.
Tea time?
Tea time.
Oh my God, this is really strong. I'm gonna be up all night.
I'm sorry, I let it steep for too long, didn't I?
That's not your fault.
Unintended does not mean unforeseeable.
Okay, we're talking about responsibility in design. Like, where do designers have responsibility? You can't hold people responsible for not seeing the future. We're not oracles.
Fair enough, maybe not, but I can still blame designers for failing to see externalities.
Externalities?
Externalities. So, the human-centered design process is really good at, taking care of desired users and their use cases, but it really is not looking at people who are affected by this technology or product who aren't part of the design.
Like for example, people who aren't paying customers and don't fit into the business model. That means if I do one of those at-home DNA tests, it affects people other than just me.
So like your sister.
Where did you get that?
Did you know that the police caught a serial killer by submitting a sample to one of those services?
Okay, you know that there's nobody in my family who's a serial killer, but I get your point.
You know how designers are really good at creating personas? Why don't they ever include people who are vulnerable to their product?
Perhaps even a persona non grata.
I suppose that could work. You know, designers are all about widening their spheres of influence, and I think that would be a perfect way to do it. You know, really thinking hard about the potential impact you can have, not just on the people you're designing for, but on the entire society.
I'm now all hopped up on caffeine. Let's do this.
All right, so these are the videos that are, they're all structured a little bit like that. And I think they're super interesting because it's really a conversation between these two women about, these specific subjects. And they're not here to necessarily teach something, but to inspire you to think about the issue at hand. And there's 5 of those videos. Then we also created a cookie banner UI kit, just so and if you download it, and maybe you can have a very quick look at it with Stephanie, and then you can also on that same page stay informed with the IXDA and IXDD to sign up for their newsletter. So that's how you can get all of the information. So interactiondesignday.org, that's where everything, all the information for today is contained. And before we look at the UI kit, I just wanted to go back to the schedule for today, live from Europe, live from Munich. We're almost done. We're gonna have Phillip Cartman designing with Adobe XD with trust and responsibility in mind, and he's also going to be using some of the UI kits that the cookie UI kits that we're going to be showing you in a second. Francesca will be here talking about trust responsibility in the payment and financial sectors, which I found fascinating because it's about money, and about how we share money and how we spend money and how we deal with money. Alexandra, a designer from Berlin, will also be designing in Adobe XD, and then I'm gonna have a conversation with Thorsten at the end of the day about the responsibility we as designers have in this world where trust and responsibility are so important. So I'm going to switch over to you very quickly, Stephanie. Let me see if I have the right screen. No, that's my screen. That's your screen. Okay, let me just turn this on. And yeah, just tell us a little bit about what happens after I download that UI kit.
So you need to have Adobe XD installed on your computer. It's for free. If you haven't downloaded it yet, it's also part of the Creative Cloud if you have that. When you open it, as you can see here, so thanks to Impeccable, they have created a whole bunch, like when I zoom out, a whole bunch of cookies. So the content is pretty much the same, but in different colors. So here we have a white scheme, here we have a shorter one, here we have a mobile version. When we scroll down, we have the one where you have tick boxes. When we scroll to the right, we have the toggles, so you can choose which one you prefer. And we have all sorts of different colors.
Can I just interrupt you for a second? Because Massimiliano Bonavia, I don't quite understand your question. I know it's about Creative Cloud, but I don't know what you mean. Same time you say don't show your use on this of this on your portfolio. No, I'm maybe what is happening sometimes is that some clients don't allow you to show the work you did for them. Okay, of course. Even here on Behance, we encourage you to say I use Photoshop, Illustrator, and whatever on your portfolio. But yeah. Maybe if you want to rephrase the question, Stephanie.
Okay, back to cookies.
Time is running out.
Back to cookies. So we have different color schemes. So here we have the white version, below we have the dark mode. And when we zoom out, you can see we have all sorts of different colors. When we switch over here to the assets panel, you can see that all of these colors are already defined, all the character styles are defined, and all of these cookies overlays or pop-ups are already components, which is very great. So when I click on this, I can see by this little diamond shape up here that this is the master component. So the cool thing about the master component is if I change something specifically, let's say this color here, then it will change it throughout the entire document wherever I have used this one. So I can quickly duplicate this, and I can see that this doesn't have a diamond shape, and this is an instance. So if I change something over here and I change this color, you can see that it changes it for the other one as well. So it changes it throughout. If I was to just change it on the instance of the component, you can see that it only changes this one, which is pretty cool. So that's one of the powers of XD. The other power is also if we like drag out, let's say this one for example, and I want to scale it up, responsive resize is usually switched on automatically, and if it's not, then switch it on and you can just resize this banner and it just resizes it automatically, and that's one of the great
That's
features.
pretty cool, and we will be of course seeing much more of that in about about 10 minutes at the top of the hour with Phillip Cartman. He will be using some of those for his design in Adobe XD. So those of you who are waiting for some design action, yes, we will be right there with you. But just one last time, I just want to go over the, let me see, which one. There we go. Zip. Just one last time, I want to go over to today's program. At 10 we have Phillip, at noon we have Francesca, at 1:30 we have Alexandra, and at 3:30 we have Torsten Jonas, and then at the end of the day we're at 5 p.m. exactly, we're gonna hand it over to San Francisco, and that's where we're gonna have a short introduction again, and then we have designers and other people that are going to be interviewed. There's also, and this is something that I will put into the next chat. I'm just gonna go over here into my on the Adobe blog. There's let me just turn this on very quickly. On the Adobe blog, we have 2 blog posts. One is about the importance of designing for trust in an uncertain world. I'm going to put the link into the chat during Phillip's stream. And this is by Margot Blumstein, who is going to be a guest on Adobe Live here from the US. So she's going to be, streaming with us, and from the US after 5 p.m. The other article that I wanted to show you is this one, how UX is how user interaction design can actually design creates trust. And this is an article by Caroline, and this is all about let's talk about trust and how can we create trustworthy experience. So these 2 blog posts are also part of this whole experience. And with that, my friends, I'm gonna close this stream, and and you all stay tuned, because in about 5 minutes we're gonna be live again with Stephanie and Phillip Troutman, and we will be designing in Adobe XD. So stay tuned.